Welcome to the Master Your Genius podcast with Keith Cornies. Listen in and learn as he coaches entrepreneurs to master their genius. Here's your host, Coach Keith.
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Coach Keith here with Master Your Genius. Number 10. Wow, Katrina Amurao. The takeaways in this one are going to be so important for you to understand what it is that I do in my coaching that unlocks the genius of my clients. You know, she's going to talk about how she put herself in the ring, how she decided to not stand on the sidelines and complain, but to put herself in the ring. She talks about her connection to God and her purpose and why she does what she does and how being focused on that has created a loop, a neurological loop in her head, the reflective loop that she focuses on every day. She talks about what she does in her systems. She talks about how that's impacted her marriage and her business. She's the number one realtor in the Fraser Valley, and 6 years ago, that wasn't even in our thought process. And in the last 6 years, she's going to talk about focusing on the actions she took to get her results instead of focusing on the results. It's powerful, it's impactful. I hope you really enjoy this. Have a great listen. Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Coach Keith here. Welcome to Master Your Genius, episode 10. I am here with one of my long-term clients, an awesome lady. She has a great real estate business with her husband. She's going to tell you all about that. And we're going to get into, again, mastering your genius, what you've done, what she's done to build the number one team in the Fraser Valley. Right, Katrina?
Yes.
How does that feel?
Amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
From where we started to where we are, and now you're just like, you don't feel like you have a glass ceiling, right?
Exactly. No glass ceiling.
Awesome. So what we're going to do today is, why don't we just get started? Let's get into it. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, things that you feel is important about you and your passions, that kind of thing.
So my name is Katrina Amurao, and I am a servant leader, wife to Neil, mother to 3 children, 6, 8, and 11, and I am also committed to making a positive impact in our community and also being part of my community and also church. I am proud to be Catholic, and I'm proud to be very active and involved to my parish.
You also created a school.
Yes, I've been part of building a school from scratch, and now there's about 240 children in that school.
Wow. Over
24 staff, which I'm so honored to have been part of that and interviewed every single one of them up to recently when I had to let that part go, but
step down. But you created it. And it's a really good testimony to who you are. You know, you work hard. You get a lot of things done. Like, the beautiful thing about coaching you, Katrina, is you know, I never told you what to do. We accessed your genius. You come away with what you do. I'd come back a week later. They were all done. And so the slow growth to being number one and selling, I think, 200. How many homes did you sell last year?
We sold 223 homes in 2019.
And we figure we impact about 10 people per home. So that's like 2,000 lives impacted, which is brilliant. Mm-hmm. What I really want to start off with today, which is I only have, like, all my clients, they will learn their purpose. They will learn, you know, how that impacts their genius, how it impacts their reflective loops, which we're going to talk about. You, Bernadette, Jody, Leah Bach, some of my clients, they really decided that they know that this is what their purpose is about, and they wake up in the morning focused on it, and they go to bed at night focused on it. Mm-hmm. When we first met and we did the real core breakdown, and we got real, you know, to the part where we got kind of deep, your purpose was to be the best child of God you could be. Mm-hmm. Right? Can you just say what that really means to you? Like, what does that mean? Being the best child of God you can be.
To me, being the best child of God I can be means that every day I just do my best and not be complacent, and always looking for ways to grow and improve and be a better person for myself and for the people around me.
And then we broke it down to where we realized through your work, you wanted to be the servant to God and you wanted to make a positive impact in the community. right?
Yes.
So tell me what that really means to you. Like, I know that you sell real estate and people buy homes and sell homes, but it's more to you than that.
Yeah, basically, when it comes to being a servant of God and being the best that I can be, I accepted and realized real estate is actually the avenue. I don't have to be doing something else that seems bigger, because this is what my talents are. This is where I'm good at. And I used real estate as the avenue to be the best child of God I can be.
So the learning is you thought you had to do something bigger to make a bigger impact to be the best child of God you can be, right? To meet the community.
Correct.
What you realized is you are making an impact in people's lives, which brings us to the next layer, which is you love to create security for your family, your employees, and the people that work with you.
Correct.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that means?
Creating security for my family and the people around me means doing good. And then by doing good, by doing the best that I can, taking great care of my clients, it will create security. I'm not focused on the results. I'm just focusing on what am I going to do to add to that, to continue to create security. As a realtor, what am I going to do to help this client right now help achieve their goals? It's, what are the things that, small commitments that I need to do and small actions that I need to guide them in order to get to where they want to go.
And you speak from your heart and your mind. You use your genius because you're really good at negotiating. You're really good at real estate. You're really good. Like, you have a lot of wisdom around that. So let's go into what we call the reflective loop, which is, some people call it a neurosynaptic loop. It's programming the neural highways in our brains from the beliefs that we had. And we had a pre-chat before this, and mastering your genius. One, by being focused on your purpose and those layers of that purpose, you're now focused on that every day instead of where you used to be focused on results. So can you tell me the difference between being focused on your purpose and what that's done for you as compared to being focused on the results, which everyone does because the brain wants to measure results, right?
Yes.
So what happened there? What did you learn, and how did you, learn that was going to be more impactful for you?
The learning is that I realized I cannot control the results. I can only control my actions. I cannot control the outcome. It's the actions that lead to the outcome that I can control. And so being true to myself, staying true to my purpose to be the best child of God I can be means did I do everything that I can to get to that result? And then understanding that, okay, I've done everything, accepting that everything happens for a reason, and if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. It's just surrendering. And at the end, the only thing I can really control is my action.
Well, interestingly enough, because I know as you had this growth, we had a couple blips along the way, right? And we had those 10-minute phone calls where you were like, oh my goodness, right? Because there's out of 223 transactions, I think last year maybe 1 or 2 mistakes were made. Seriously, they were only the big mistakes that you were really worried about, and you wanted to take and put all your energy in how we fix these mistakes. And what we learned was we can implement an action or a system after the mistake to stop it from happening again. We have to accept the mistake. I'm aligned with my purpose. I was in no way being off path. I really wanted to impact their life. It didn't happen because of, when you grow, you have growth. There's going to be pains, right?
Yeah.
So that was an excellent learning. So let's talk about you. And now you're saying, Keith, I don't focus on the results. I focus on the actions I can take because those are within my control. I'm curious about the outcome because that's another conversation we had. For goal setters out there that always set their goal, you want to set the goal to have the structure to build your business, which we've done. And yet we're also curious to see how much we can do above that goal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're also curious to see, it's almost like dreaming, isn't it? Would you say it's dreaming, or what would you say it is? Being curious instead of defining everything.
I think being curious is just not being. When you're curious, you're just curious. You're not too attached to the results. Really, you're just wondering, what could happen, right? Like, I wonder what could happen if I do this. And being curious kind of takes a little bit of pressure out of trying to get to that result.
Exactly. And so You see, what we're talking about is you're a purpose-driven person who wakes up every day in the reflective loop of how can I make an impact in people's lives? How can I create security for my family? How can I be the best child of God I want to be? You go out, you sit down. What kind of routines do you have to choose the actions you take on a daily basis? So how do you know you're taking the right actions, or what are you doing? Would that be the plus oneing, or what would that be for you?
Well, a lot of the things that we've implemented over the years working together, and mainly for me, it's the routine of like, the Focus 30, 20, 10, and that you teaching us that, and, spending half an hour every month, 20 minutes every week, 10 minutes every day, planning what's going to happen next, right? So I have the book, and I just write every night. I do my best. It's not perfect, but every night I prepare 10 minutes for the next day. And I have my routine set up where I pray in the morning, I wake up early in the morning, and just have my 3 key things that I need to do for the next day.
That you planned the night before?
The night before, as to what's important.
So what does that do for you? Like, let's just talk about how you feel when you put the journal down and you planned your next 3 things and you go to bed. Do you feel like you have anxiety about the next day? Are you worried? Like, what happens with that? Like, on your growth with your team, has there been times when you felt anxiety and overwhelm and burnout?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, there's anxiety. If I don't plan my day, I actually get really anxious. If I don't do my prayer, I get anxious because I just have this uncertainty, and it's one of the things that I battle when I don't stay in alignment with what I need to be doing. And so did I answer your question?
You did.
Yeah.
It was really good, actually, because you used the word uncertainty and you used the word anxiety. So when I'm uncertain, I'm anxious. So to create certainty, I have my routines.
Yeah.
I do my 10 minutes where I plan my 3 big things for the next day. I wake up in the morning. I do my prayer. I do my morning routine. I already know my next things. So guess what? By creating certainty, by doing that planning, the anxiety turns into calm.
Yeah.
The number one thing, there we go. This is important. This is the important message. And it's awesome that timing came, because when we're anxious, right?
Yeah.
We're, the number one thing in being a great business person, entrepreneur, salesperson, realtor, mortgage broker, whoever you are, is you need to be calm and confident, right?
Yeah.
Not anxious and insecure. And so anxious and insecure comes from lack of knowing, lack of planning, not knowing the outcome, not having faith, thinking that you're in control of everything and this is going to be bad or good. Recently for me, I'm blessed to know you and Bernadette, and also Amy, who is a consultant that I've hired for AIM Coaching through Loney Financial, which has now got me connected with God on a different level, which is awesome, because for me now, I feel like, a couple of things. I have a sense of contentment. I have a sense of I'm not alone. So as I was renovating the space that I'm in right now and spending the money and incurring these costs for my business, instead of thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay these bills? How's it going to work out? I realize I'm not alone. I do have a partner in this. The partner is a lot wiser than I am. And all I need to do is be connected to that to access my genius. So, that access to God allows you to be your best. You know what I mean?
Surrendering. What I noticed over the last few years too is one of the changes, the turning points, is that I surrendered. I just accepted that, I am loved by God. I am who I am, and just accepting who I am. I don't have to pretend to be someone else. I don't need to be aiming for that. My insecurity before is that lack of education. I mean, to me, I have a diploma in business administration. I do not have a degree, and I've been told by people who have masters and all that, oh, you must have had, you didn't go to university, did you? So it's always been an insecurity.
Also around the language, right? Because English is your second language. So English. You had insecurity about your language as well.
Yes,
that
my
you've
accent, my language.
Right.
Yeah, I have.
And the lack of education.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that right there is the recipe for unsuccess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, am I good enough? Right? We've had some amazing experiences. Like one time you walked into a room and there was another realtor there and you felt intimidated by her, and right?
Yes.
And so, what I'm loving about what you're saying here right now is, can I ask you a question? By accepting yourself and surrendering, how's that affected your marriage?
Oh, dramatically. It's been like, accepting myself already improved our marriage because of the fact that I don't have to pretend. I don't have to feel
The perfect wife.
yes, because the Betty Crocker mom, the
Yeah.
housewife kind of idea. Because I'm not domesticated. That's the thing. I accepted it, and since I accepted that, and Neil has always accepted me
Yes.
for who I am, but I
Yeah.
wasn't the one accepting me
That's
for who I
right.
am, and so I'm the one judging myself for not being the wife, the typical wife that people think I should be, or
Yeah.
I thought I should be.
Yeah.
When I accepted that, our marriage improved dramatically.
And so here's what I want you to know is Neil always loved you, but you couldn't receive that love because you didn't love yourself. In accepting yourself and letting go, in being curious, in surrendering, in noticing, and the work that we've done about aligning with your purpose, that's not where it ends. We also know your core values. And we also know your gifts.
Yeah.
Why you are good at what you do. So that takes away the education and that takes the language away because now we focus on what you are instead of what you aren't. That was a big shift.
Yes.
So let's go to the next big shift. The day that you realized that you wanted to put yourself into the ring. We're in a coaching session. You're
Yeah.
talking about a competitor who was number one, and we weren't even close at the time. Not even close.
No.
And I said, Katrina, either you get in the ring and fight or you stay on the outside and do nothing. And that was the day you decided to get into the ring. So tell me a little bit about that process, that day, or whatever comes to mind, and how that changed everything for you.
Well, I clearly remember that day because I still remember it. Like every time I remind myself the day we turned things around is
Yeah.
when I got into the ring. It's when I lost a client to someone else our clients are not ours, right? But
No.
then I've nurtured the relationship with this client, 3 years nurturing. They've attended our events. I made my recommendations. They followed my recommendations, but they listed with someone else because they felt that the other person was more credible than I am because he's doing more marketing than I was.
Right.
And I thought, I'm better. Like, I have more experience. I've nurtured my relationship. You followed my advice. They advised you something else. You followed my advice, but you used someone else. And so getting in the ring basically is just not... At that time, I was waiting for this person to fail. I said, 6 months, they're going to be gone. They won't do well. And then, oh my gosh, they didn't. So, and then I started having those revelations through personal experience of losing a client. And so it hurts because I care so much. And I know that the care that I gave and, that I put into that relationship I put my heart into it, right? So
the positive intention of not going into the ring was not getting hurt.
Not getting hurt,
Right.
not spending money, not
Right.
investing in my business.
Right.
Because at that time, I had the belief, I work by referral. These people were actually referred to me.
Yeah.
And I work by referral and
Or referral only, because
Referral
that's
only.
a coaching model that you were working before that worked for you, that got you to a certain level, but you had a glass ceiling.
correct.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, and then no money on advertising. I took pride in the fact that I don't spend money on advertising, and it actually hurt me at that point because I needed to be seen by my clients. I needed to be marketable, and I needed to show my clients that I can market myself to prove to them that I can market their properties.
Well, and, right, if anybody's going to buy anything, there's a comparison model. So if someone's going to buy, I said this the other day to a client, here, have this coffee. They drink it, and I go, okay, that'll be $100, please. And they've drank the coffee, so now they got to pay me the $100. They needed to ask what they were going to pay for that in the beginning. So when you know that everyone's charging the same amount of money, basically, and the people have to compare you to somebody, are you comparable? Have you given them enough information to compare to the competitor? No.
The credibility, basically, it's perception. The perception is that people, when they see advertising and they think it's good, when they see people, when they see enough of them, on TV, bus ads, bus shelters, it looks like, he must be good. She must be good because they have a lot.
Yeah, the perception is your
Yeah.
reality, right?
Yeah.
What I put out there, right? And this is why it's so important Now you'll see this, right? What's the perception of people when they know, because you stood on a mountain and said, I want to make a positive impact in the community and create security for my client's life. It's in your marketing, it's in your webpage, it's everywhere, right? So now what's their perception of you? With those words, what we call value-based marketing, which we have done for years now, which is why you're number one, because you believe in your value, you know your value, and you sell your value. It's like, why wouldn't you use me is the question, instead of like, what have I not done, right?
Yes.
And so the confidence level, and by the way, you are a great leader as well. So let's transition into leadership now. So me watching your growth, let's give everyone a little bit of a timeline. I think over the last 6 years, you went from 30 to 40 sales and a good income to now 220 sales, and this year is going to be even more.
Yes.
And what you did was we had trials and tribulations in building your team, didn't we?
Oh, lots of trials, lots of learning experiences.
Right.
Yes.
And what are some of those learning experiences that you can share with others that are in business, that are looking at hiring people, that are looking at working with people? What would you say is the key? And let's just talk about, your longest members on your team now, I think almost 2 years, or year and a half, 2 years, VJ and Rob.
Yeah, they've been with us for 3
3 years.
3 years.
What do you think as a leader is something that you've done for them that's helped them become better in their lives, put in the ring, they're selling amazing amounts of real estate with you? What do you think what are some of the leadership things that you implemented to build such a great team?
Well, one of the things is that being open, being open to communication, and giving them the voice and allowing that opportunity and helping them feel comfortable to talk and have a voice, and give them that sense of knowing that they can talk, and they can say what they want to say.
They can contribute.
And also having the difficult conversations. I think that's the biggest one, is just when we know there's something that doesn't feel or sound right, or something that
you feel it. You just know, I don't. As soon as you're afraid of a conversation,
that's a conversation.
That's the one you have to have.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to have it for success.
Yes.
If you don't have it, then you might as well you're just going to find that you're just not going to push through.
And it just becomes this, you get into this negative thought, negative process, then you go below the line, and that's one of the key things too, is knowing whether or not we're above or below the line, and seeing that in our team, and when we know that someone's below the line, it's just approaching them and talking to them if what's going on, and trying to help them.
A quick update for everyone out there. Below the line is below the line of communication with ourselves and others. And if we're at a 0, that's fine. But if we go -1, -2, -3, we get the result of that. Basically, we go into the emotional hijack. The amygdala takes over, and we're narrowed down. We now are reactionary instead of responsive. We now are more, we're argumentative instead of agreeable. We are closed-minded instead of being open. We're predicting a negative outcome instead of being curious. All the things that you've talked about here. So you have a tool that you notice when you have a feeling, and that feeling has you below the line, that you have to have a conversation. You lean in, you have the conversation, and then how do you feel after that conversation?
It's like a big weight lifted off your shoulder, right? So, actually, that's a breakthrough. Every time we have the difficult conversation, it always leads to something bigger, better.
It always turns out good.
Yeah.
That is a breakthrough. And it's the number one most important thing that I would love to tell you, but you have to learn on your own, because, right?
Yes.
When you take knowledge, that a conversation as we have, you put it in and you take that action, your wisdom is, wow, every time we have this, we have big breakthroughs. And that's what I want you to know. It's not like the little actions that accumulate. For some people, you having the courage as a leader to create a space and facilitate a conversation that's difficult with respect, love, and care, and with the intention of creating security so you can make a positive impact, so you can be the best child of God you can be, is giving them a venue. It's giving them a structure and a system that they would never get on their own. And that's what leaders are supposed to do. They're supposed to be brave, courageous, and caring. Brave enough to invest in their business. courageous to have the hard conversation, and caring to do it in a respectful way. And that is something that I want you to know is what you have as a leader. You're caring, brave, and courageous. And because of that, the people that come around you, they get that voice. You're not worried that if they have a voice, they're gonna become better than you. You want them to become the best. And then you create a culture of security, and they stay with you. Like, if anybody out there is listening and they're in a leadership role and they don't understand what I just said, they need to go watch this again and again. They need to see my podcast. They need to go back on Purpose-Driven Realtor Program, Purpose-Driven Life Program, because you are an extreme example because you've had massive success. And now you're even going to the next level. All because of what we're talking about here. And everyone's like, well, where's the magic pill? Where does she spend her money? What does she spend it on? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So when you hear all that, how would you kind of sum that up? What's the takeaway when I kind of give that back to you? I know it was uncomfortable. I can see that you didn't like me complimenting you. And that's okay, because that's humility.
Yeah.
Right? And humility keeps us quiet, and that's why you didn't put yourself in the ring before, because you were being humble and quiet. Now you're being proud and loud. Right?
Yes.
Aligned with purpose, with respect. Okay, so you're not being arrogant or pushy or any of that stuff, right? So when I gave that all back to you, and it was uncomfortable, you heard it. But what was the first thought that comes to your mind when you hear all that about your leadership and why your team is where it's at?
I think it's just more of being open to learning, and I've learned a lot from you. With my leadership skills and being able to listen and follow through what you tell me to do. We don't tell me what to do, really. It's more of, you allowed me to discover my genius, listen to my heart. And then also what I realized is that I just lost my train of thought.
Don't worry. So the thing is every time we go to this place where I compliment you, you go to uncomfort.
I lose it.
So speak from your heart, not from your mind. Speak from your heart, not from your mind. We've done a lot of work together.
Yeah.
I've helped you access your genius.
Yeah.
Right? You now realize that this uneducated person with English as a second language is got skills and you've been able to lead and create security. You're a rarity, my friend. You're in the top 1%. You are a doer. You get everything done. You do the life wheel. And what I love about your life wheel is you put a cross in the middle.
Yes.
To make sure that your life wheel and your actions align with God.
Yes.
Which is always this laser focus.
Yes.
Right? You've shared a lot of really great wisdoms here, and when hopefully maybe you'll listen and like your voice and not worry about what it is, but you might even learn from you, because you said you just had a breakthrough, which is every time I've had the hard conversation, we've had big results.
Yes.
That breakthrough is wisdom, and now that wisdom is going to allow you to have those conversations easier. So I'm excited for your future, and you have a dream. Can you share maybe what that dream looks like at all? Like, what does it look like when you go to 300 sales and you impact 3,000 lives, or we go to 400 sales and you have this team that you've built, and now you've hired some great people, and we're now getting them in our process of our culture of being purpose-driven, right? When they all get on track and we have 5 buyer agents, purpose-driven, advocates for our purpose, right? Yeah. And Neil is now, Neil's become amazing too. Hi, Neil. How you doing? We got to give Neil a shout out, right?
Because, absolutely. He without him, I'm the one who jumps at everything. My personalities. I'm always curious. Sometimes it can be, it's a curse and a blessing, right? Because I'm always curious. And with Neil, he's the one who wait a minute, let's think about it. How high are you jumping? And but it's a good balance between me and him. So without him, I don't think we would be where we are.
I honestly, for me, watching the two of you, your marriage gets stronger, your leadership for sure. You're both on the same page. You're both purpose driven. The big learning for Neil was when he actually acknowledged his wisdom, the oak tree session we had. Remember that? And then now, he's a leader and he's helping with the buyer agents, and he's doing he's a leader with you now. The two of you have really come together, and you should be really, really, really proud of what you've accomplished, because you are accomplishing your purpose, and you are doing it through real estate. And for people out there, you're being of service like a minister to his flock by taking care of each individual person with the quality of care that you give.
Yeah.
I mean, people would be crazy not to hire you.
Oh, well, we do our best. And I know that,
what was that?
We do our best. Well, I also learned to believe that people do things because they think it's better for them. It's not about me. It's about them. And you taught us this, that, when people behave the way they do, it's because of them. It's not because of you.
So you don't wear other people's stuff.
Yes.
And the beauty of it is, and we're going to wrap up here, mastering your genius is my philosophy. And we're showing people how you have broken through your glass ceiling in life. The limiting belief that you needed to be that kind of, I forget the analogy you used, but now you're just being Katrina, the best wife you could be, and you're strong in your marriage. And so, wrapping up, thank you for, the insight. Thank you for your compliments to me. I would like you to get more comfortable with compliments to you. So, when I ask you what your dream and what's next is, there's really no limits for you, is there?
No, and I just looked back when you asked me that earlier. Actually, I was thinking of the feeling I had last year when we set the goal for 2019 was 175, and we thought that was crazy. 175 homes sold, and families helped achieve their real estate goals, and we thought that was crazy. But we let go of the goal. We just put it there so we know where we're going. Then we took action. And then we surpassed it.
Thank you for watching this episode of Master Your Genius. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. See you next time.